everyone, welcome back to My Pagan Life, as always. Samhain is right around the corner, like literally a day from now, and I know I should have made this video earlier, but I felt like if I still have the time to make it, why not? Therefore, I must ask you to excuse all of this, the not well thought out setup, the lighting, everything. Just please forgive me, I'm trying to make this video before it's too late. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. But first, I just want to give a quick shout out to the people over at VKNG for sponsoring this video. And in case you didn't know it already, VKNG is a French company that sells pagan jewelry. There's a wide selection to choose from, including this one that I'm wearing right here. So that was just a tiny little mention right there, but I'm going to come back to how this is relevant later in the video. Anyway, how can I celebrate Samhain, I wonder? First off, just to get it out of the way, we need to understand why we're even celebrating Samhain in the first place. And I'm not gonna go into detail here about Samhain and the history of Samhain and all that stuff. I'm assuming you know a few things about that prior to this video, but we're just gonna cover a few basic themes, basically. So there are two main themes to keep in mind or to consider when it comes to Samhain. This is at least how I see it, how I interpret it, and I'm going to present it as such. The first most obvious theme of Samhain is probably that of the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, as well as the concept of throwing out the old and bringing in the new, if that makes any sense. The second theme relates to divination and such, you know, kind of like connecting with spirits, honoring ancestors, and that kind of thing. It is said that the veil between our world and the spirit world is at its thinnest at this time of year after all. Those are basically the two things you should keep in mind when considering what you want to do for Samhain, and that can basically be whatever you want. But for the sake of this video, here's a list of suggestions. Dedicate time to an idea. That idea can be a goal of sorts. Maybe you've decided to stop doing something, or you want to start doing something, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, this is what I want to focus on. Now, if you don't want to focus on a goal specifically, it can be like a general concept, like gratitude. The idea with all this is that you basically have a focus and you have an intention behind everything you do. But of course, the beauty of all this is not only that it gives you a focus and an intention, but it allows you to keep things simple but meaningful. Whether you're a person who just likes to keep things simple but meaningful, or you're in the broom closet and you really can't afford to show off what you're doing, this is just a brilliant way to get started with your celebration, and it can really just be the one thing, the core of your entire Samhain celebration. Decorate/set up a Samhain altar. You can either set up an altar that is completely unique to the Sabbath of Samhain, or you can take your altar that you might already have set up and just decorate it with things you find outside, like leaves and nuts and other things. I don't know why I came up with nuts, but I really like to decorate my altar with like fallen autumn leaves. It's really cool. What I'm trying to say is that you should customize your altar to your liking so that you feel like it's appropriate for Samhain. If this isn't something you want to do specifically, or you want to do something else with your altar, my suggestion would be to dedicate your altar to something specific. For some people, that might be a goal they have, a goal they want to realize and work on. For a lot of people, that might mean simply dedicating their altar space to someone who has passed and someone that meant a lot to them, like a deceased friend, a deceased family member, that kind of thing. And if that's something you want to do, you might want to bring pictures or objects that are reminiscent of the person that you're honoring, that you're trying to connect to in some way or another, whatever you wish. And of course, by the time you're done, you might want to consider whether you want to do a ritual or not, which probably is the reason why a lot of people set up their altars for Samhain, but yeah, I just thought I'd put it out there. Dress up a bit. If you don't usually dress up for special occasions such as Sabbats or Esbats or that kind of thing, now is the time to do it. At least this is how I see it, because I don't usually dress up for magical workings, but Samhain is definitely the day when I do. It can be a costume, it can be something really witchy like a cape or something like that. You can even wear formal clothing if you like. I mean, who's to say you can't. Now, I personally love to just go with maybe some dark clothing underneath my favorite witchy cloak, if you know what I mean, and some jewelry. I'm probably going to be wearing this particular piece for Samhain this year because I just love the symbolism. It's really fitting. I just love the necklace in general. This particular piece is from VKNG Jewelry, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video. I've dedicated an entire video to that subject alone, and if you check that video out, you can learn more about my meeting with VKNG, and you can also learn how to get a 15% discount on all of their products using the link and code down in the description below. But yeah, I just love pagan jewelry, and I think it's a really powerful and simple way to really engage in your practice in your everyday life, so that's why I'm mentioning it here. But anyway, let's move over to the next point. Do appropriate spell work. Samhain is said to be the perfect Sabbat to be working with magic such as banishing magic, protection magic, and magic related to new beginnings, so if these are the types of magic you've been considering doing recently, now is definitely the time. Do some cooking. I didn't cook this food myself, just so you know. But seriously, Samhain is a harvest celebration, meaning that food couldn't be more relevant. Feel free to make whatever it is you wish, but here's just a tiny little list of a few traditional Samhain foods. Grains, you know, bread and stuff, nuts, turnips, pumpkins, apples, and rosemary is an incredibly popular Samhain herb. And trust me, I'm not an exceptional cook by any means whatsoever, but there's just something incredibly special about making your own food for Samhain. Now, if you want to get more creative with your food, consider hosting a dumb supper. And what it basically is that it's a meal, it's kind of like a feast, but it's silent and it's calm. You basically just leave a seat open for the dead, or, you know, for the spirits that might want to join the feast. Speaking of which, how about divination in general? You can host a seance, for example. Or maybe you want to do a tarot reading, a rune reading, some scrying. You know, this is the perfect time for divination if you want to do any. I think the most important thing is that you consider why you're doing it in the first place. Do you want to contact spirits, communicate with ancestors, or do you want to gain more insight into the past, present, and future? Carve a pumpkin! This one deserves its own point because not including this point would be a sin. Okay, maybe, okay, it's not a sin. I don't know if I'll be carving a pumpkin this year because I don't know if all the pumpkins will be sold out, but if I can get my hands on a pumpkin, I swear to you, I will carve that pumpkin. Cleanse, charge, and charm objects and tools. I just feel like while we're on the topic of throwing out the old and bringing in the new, it's just appropriate to be in contact with your spiritual tools to just give them new energy. If you're going to charge your wand or athame or any other altar tool, just pull out the old energy, put in new energy, and specify what the purpose of the tool is while you're doing it. And if you want to drag out your crystals and do some work with them, my suggestion would be to cleanse the crystals, charge the crystals, and decide upon a purpose for them. That purpose doesn't have to be set in stone, but if you have a tiger's eye in front of you and you've decided, I want to make this stone specifically for prosperity, just, you know, infuse that purpose and intention into the crystal so that the next time you pick it up, you can be like, okay, this is my prosperity stone. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I just really like doing that. Visit the graves of those who are important to you. Whether you believe they're still there or not, or they're in a completely different place that we don't know of, you're still making an effort to show up and to engage in trying to connect with them, and I think that's very respectful. I don't really have this opportunity to a big extent because most of my close family who are buried in a completely different place than I am now, too far away for me to visit them, but if you have that opportunity and this is something you'd like to do, go for it. And my last point is to contemplate death. The fact of the matter is, a lot of us are scared of death in some way, whether it's that we're scared of dying ourselves or we're afraid that someone we love and cherish is going to die. And it makes total sense, right? Because all of us are gonna die someday, but Samhain is literally a day dedicated to death, the darker aspects of life, the older aspects of life, and the understanding that we are all gonna die someday, but that this is a cycle that continues. We are born, we are dead, and we are reborn. Whether that means to just go back to the soil and become part of the earth again, or if that really means to get reborn or be reborn in the spiritual sense. Either way, Samhain is a beautiful time to develop a healthy relationship to the concept of death, so that we might live more fulfilling lives. And those were my 10 cents on the subject, if you can even say that, because I have no idea if that is actually a thing. But even so, this is now a thing. 10 cents, there you go. It's time for the question of the day. Do you guys have any suggestions as to how you can celebrate Samhain? If you do, make sure to leave a comment down below and let us know. There are quite a lot of videos on the subject, guys, so I'm so incredibly sorry if I wasn't able to contribute anything particularly new to the discussion, but I tried to add my personal perspective in there and try to add something new, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Also, don't forget to check out VKNG and their amazing pagan jewelry. Just click the link down in the description below and use the code KMCODE at checkout for a 15% discount. More information on this entire sponsor